Welcome to Circle of Hearts Radio. Journey with Grandmother Alaya as she enters her magical world of relics, sacred sites, and ancient crystal skulls. Meet with exciting trailblazer authors and individuals shifting the consciousness of humanity. Send her your questions to be answered on air on her monthly segment, Ask the Oracle. And now your host, Grandmother Alaya, in the sanctuary on the airwaves on OMTimes Radio.
I'm Alaya, and today I have with me my friend Charlie, and we're going to do something very unique today. If you want to participate, even if you can, we're going to be working with water, consciousness, and if you want to, get a glass of water or have something and join us in the midpoint of the show. Charlie has a guided meditation, etc. for you. But the one thing I want to bring out is I always tell you that the oldie shows are very spirit guided. And it just sometimes really strikes me is back in the beginning of the year, I had Maria Whitley, who was on last week, a dowser, and she had to cancel the show. She was in the middle of some sacred site with no internet access. So we rescheduled for last week. And we were going to talk about the elongated skull she found in Stonehenge. And then she pops up, can we talk about the waters? I'm like, sure. I'm always one, if something pops up like that, let's go with it. It was a fascinating show about the sacred waters underneath, or within the earth. And then I had approached Charlie about this because now actually another person had canceled, and of course I grabbed my friend and said, help, what should we do? And then we were both, Charlie has gone very involved in the healing of the waters. And again, that theme of water came out. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. So I didn't talk to him all week. And, I was talking to him just a few minutes before the show. He said, Charlie, I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. I was just told, open your mouth and we'll see where it goes. And he had the same thing. So this is going to be very interesting. In the last few minutes, he said he was able to, put down this meditation and blessing. So to see how the universe has designed this whole theme of water in June, the sign of Cancer, and water is all, as Charlie says, life. Now, Charlie, I'm going to let you go on about water.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. It has been an extremely amazing journey. It's been a river cruise for sure to get here. And as you say, I've become quite intense about water blessing and healing and connection with the water. And that's been a journey of, let's see, the past 6 or 7 months. And probably started with, and we'll go right back to Maria Wheatley with dowsing, was when I took a dowsing course a year ago in May. And it shifted me so much. It's transformed me so much that I could never have imagined what I'm doing now, or my intensity of working or honoring and realizing and beginning to remember the preciousness and sacredness of water. And so it's phenomenal. Part of the work that I just recently did was a river blessing on June 4th, which was a part of a worldwide simultaneous river blessing. And that was put on by a society that I became a member of, and learned some protocols that were Maori protocol, and from a fellow named Forrest Speaker, the navigator. And and we carried that forward into the water blessings. And when that happened, there was such a force of opposition for that to actually happen that I've never witnessed in this lifetime such an energetic force to not have it occur. And this is from my own sort of little group. And so many things came up to destroy that. And I looked at that and I kept looking and seeing it. And I says, I refuse to name that energy. But I know it's ancestral. It's a very ancient, ancient energy. And that's driven me to even deeper to work with the water. So, with that said, what I, tell people now is that water is life, and that we need to shift our awareness from water being a commodity or something that's just always there, and learn to treat it with the due respect and honor as our mother. And so my next statement is water is our mother. Now, we've been taught that Earth is our mother, and she is, and we live a Mother Gaia and a Mother Earth. But without the water, there would be no living forms on Mother Earth.
That's
And
true.
I want you to, and this is, I'm not here to, teach anybody anything. I just want people to start to think about water and realize how precious it is. Last week, Maria was talking about the primary water, which is within the earth, and which shifts on the off cycles of the moon. And it also balances the orbit. It has a great power, and it surfaces at the sacred wells and the sacred sites where healings are occurred or where they built churches, and which the ancient dowsers would look for, and the ancient civilizations would look for, because they knew that without water they weren't going to survive. Period.
Mm.
So it's interesting that we've lost this connection with water. We just take it so for granted. We pollute it, we throw it away, we disrespect it, we poison it, and how did we, in my head, how did we get that far away from the source of what it really truly is? It's life in and of itself. Without it, there's no bacteria, there's no microorganisms, there's nothing. And so part of what I want to talk about is how it's related to us as physical beings, and how our bodies are over 70% water. And how we treat that water outside of us is reflected in our illnesses and reflected in our daily life, because when we disrespect that, we're disrespecting ourselves as well. And as we treat the water outside of us, we're treating the water inside of us. And so there's a symbiotic relationship that cannot be separated. It defies separation.
No, we
So
all are one, completely. Sometimes I know you and I talk about oneness of
yeah,
humanity,
yeah.
but we're even one with the planet, and I think we forgot that.
Well, and this is part of it, and many of us now can look at oneness of humanity as a unified field and co-creation, and we're striving to work for that, and we're making great progress because more and more people are becoming aware of who they are as a both spiritual and physical body in a third dimension, using, fourth dimensional energy, and moving into fifth dimensional energy. So there's a whole lot of excitement now, in spite of what we see playing out on, the human field, and yet what happens is it's all tied to the water. It's
Mm.
all tied to the water. And if we think about the how water moves across the face of the earth, what water moves through the trees, moves through all of us, we begin to realize that this is our connection. This is our connection, our sacred connection to the source of life. Now we have, in a spiritual sense, we can go and we can go to the light, and we're okay with that. We're comfortable with saying, okay, I am the light. Can we say I am the water?
No, we have to get to that point.
And that's what I'm looking at. And that's what I'm seeing playing out in the world, is that the water has the memory, as Dr. Emoto and other people have researched water, and it has a consciousness, and it can be affected by how we work with it, how we treat it, or how we mistreat it. And so I'm just looking on a global scale at all of what's happening in the world. And then when I look at what we're doing with water, the outside is just a reflection of what we're doing.
Mm.
And the synchronicity of this was just so profound to me that it builds on itself once you start thinking about that, about how these tiny molecules of water are part of every facet of life. The animals, the birds, the animals, the fish, the trees, the plants, the fungus, the mushrooms, everything requires water. And every living thing, there is a percentage of water in them. So why wouldn't it stand? And I'm not a scientist. I'm not saying I have evidence of anything here. This is my personal journey. But I look at it and say, if this is what's happening, why are we focusing on the outer edge of the picture? Let's go right to the source of the problem. Let's go right to the water. Mm-hmm. Not that water's the problem, but our relationship with it is the problem.
I think I hear the music.
Well, it's going to be perfect because...
Free your mind with OMTimes Radio, IOM FM. Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me the Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
Do you have time to read that inspiring book or that blog post you've been meaning to get to? In your busy world, how do you improve yourself and keep your life going? I'm Lisa Kay, and my Between Heaven and Earth radio show can transform your life just by listening. Be uplifted with inspiring topics, positive stories, and ideas that really work. Between Heaven and Earth radio is conscious living for your soul, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. Feed your soul with waves of consciousness on OMTimes Radio.
Weird mental connection. When we're talking, prior to the show, I said, "Oh, gee, I've got these ideas. Are coming to me, but I need to, keep it for the show." And when he said Emoto, I said, "Oh God, he's tapped in already." What I was thinking before the show is, Dr. Emoto was a scientist. He researched water, and what he's actually showing in his work is that the water is a consciousness. It's just not a non thing. And it's also empathic. His research shows that if you were to, what's it, even, get a glass of water and you put on the words love, it would show you one way. When you did the microscopic looking at the, formation there. And what I'm basically trying to get at in my rambling here is we have a consciousness within us because our bodies are made of it. The earth is made of it. Everything around us is empathic, and we're all feeding into this empathic consciousness. Sometimes negativity, and people are trying to, clear that. I think that's the part of the water work. But I think what Charlie was feeling was the empathic emotions of ancestral energy from the beginning of time. Does that make sense, Charlie?
It does. It does. It makes perfect sense. And it's, and I will say that water is not only, it leads me to another thing, well, several things. But one is when you and I work with skulls, ancient skulls and crystal skulls. And I always explain to people who aren't aware, I says, I'm not here to teach anybody about it, but I will tell you that there's a crystalline consciousness.
Yeah.
And when you work with the skulls, you tap into that consciousness and you get what you bring to the table. However you want to relate, it will relate back to you. This is the same thing with water consciousness. There's a water consciousness. So it's a body of consciousness that is prevalent in all living species that are comprised or are partially comprised of water. And so when we talk about water consciousness, it's not just the water itself, but it's the animals that live in the water, the mammals. We at one time lived in the water. There are other animals that lived on Earth and then went back into the water. And this has been evolving for millions of years, and not only on this planet, but other planets within the galaxy and in other galaxies. So this is not an uncommon awareness. So like the crystalline consciousness, there's a water consciousness. And so we tap into that. And as here on planet Earth, what we've done is we've distorted that consciousness and we've affected that consciousness. And I'm not going to say it's intentional. Other people may claim that they feel there's an intentional disruption of that. And sometimes I have to admit, sometimes, that's quite possible. Maybe there is an intentional thing, just like with the crystalline grids of the earth, and was there an intentional, or was it an accidental thing that happened during the fall? We don't know, and I'm not trying to find out. All I'm looking at is how can each of us as individual creator beings affect that in a positive manner so that the whole collective of humanity and all of life on this planet begin to turn it around to a flourishing, co-creative environment, which it has just drifted so far away from. And so the water blessings and the blessing of water, to me, is important. Which brings me to the word blessing. We've lost the art of blessing. Okay? Our ancestors, tribal ancestors, it was all about blessing. They saw the sacredness in everything because they could communicate with it. And they had to communicate with it in order to survive. Had they not communicated with the water, had they not communicated with the birds, the animals, the trees, all the life forms, the various life forms, humanity would not exist today. What has happened is, as humans evolved, we became enamored with our own ability of our minds to create, rather than living in a heart resonance. And so what we did was we shifted and went into our minds and said, this is the most powerful thing in the world. I can think. And again, my first bumper sticker was the reverse Descartes statement. I think, therefore I am. And I reversed it and said, I am, therefore I think.
Mm.
And I think that's what we're going to experience in the next, how many years is this reversal. It's a reversal of all of this, and dropping from our heads into our hearts and looking for the mind that is deep within our hearts. That is the one mind, not the separated mind of our heads, which has enamored itself and put itself up on a golden pedestal, but the one from our hearts, the heart resonance with everything. So that's what I see with the connection of the water blessings. And that brings me to the water blessings being an act of the heart, not an act of the head.
It's an act of gratitude also.
It is gratitude, and that comes from the heart. And so if you look at heart-centered prayer or heart-centered intent, you get a different response. Many of us who have worked through intention in many ways can see a difference when you just intend something from your head. It may come to you, but there's a lot of interference. When you intend it from your heart, it almost happens instantly. And so where's that power coming from? We're impressed with our minds, and part of my journey here in coming back was to have that ability of memory to be dysfunctional. And so I have to live in the moment. I have to respect everything. I have to be aware of it. And that's the greatest gift, because now the first thing I wake up is in gratitude. I open my eyes and I see planet Earth out there. I look out the window and there's trees. There's a window, period. There's a window to look out. And I say, thank you. And so this is where the water blessings come in, is to learn and relearn to be thankful for things that we have taken so for granted. And when it comes to the water being life, we've taken life for granted. And so we're actually disrespecting life. And so it's, when you look at that and you say, wow, no wonder things are so messed up. We've just lost touch with reality, true reality, not the illusional reality that we've created through storytelling and rewriting history and manipulation and control.
And this is something everybody can do.
Everybody can do this.
It has nothing
Yes.
to do, it doesn't matter what your culture is, it doesn't matter what your religion is we all keep on coming back to come from the heart.
All cultures and all religions have worshipped water since the beginning. And I'll just read this to you. I just clipped this from somebody's site. It says, water has been revered throughout all cultures for its life-sustaining properties. Without water, all life would indeed die. In traditional cultures, water is not seen as a commodity, but as a flowing, sacred mother who nurtures her children. This sacred status of water ensured that this special element of life was never abused, misused, or ill-treated. However, today, water is abused, overused, and taken for granted. And so it goes on to say that our mother water is dying. It's not so much the planet. The planet will go on, because you can't unless we get to the primary water and we destroy that, then the planet will die. But it's dying, and we are dying with it. And you can see that in culture, these are the death throes, the insanity, the acts of violence, the acts of things. This is part of the death throw, the illness that we've placed on. So the simple blessing, the act of simple blessing, is basically that we pray that our Mother Water in all her forms, celestial and physical, continues to nurture and guide us. May she continue to run clean so that we in all life can be sustained. And then, that's where we get into Dr. Emoto's studies and other studies and how we're 70% water and just a simple act of sending thoughts of love to a glass of water before we drink it. That love will flush through our system, that energy, that intent. And so the same thing can be done in healing practices. And this is where we want to be healers of, illnesses. Well, some of them, a lot of our illnesses are due to dehydration. And why are we dehydrated? How come we're drinking so much water, more than ever before, and we're still dehydrated? Because we've done something wrong with the water. So if we take that water, we bless it and say, thank you, flush through me, relieve this pain in my joints, take with this the toxins out of my body, filter through my bladder, filter through my kidneys, filter through my heart, take all this away and dispose of it properly. I guarantee you that if you start to practice this, your life will change.
I know we're heading to the next segment.
Right. So I just wanted to leave that with the power of blessing is not only about healing the planet, but it's healing ourselves. Many of us have illnesses now that we should not have.
What I was curious, is there anything you want our listeners to do, like grab a glass of water before?
Yes, if you have water, and I would prefer it to be in either glass or a clay bowl or a bowl or a pottery bowl or porcelain, something that is earth, not plastic, and not man-made, but earth-made or handmade.
All right, so when everybody get something, and in a few minutes, Charlie will be leading us in the meditation.
We're going to make some sacred water.
Sounds good.
The best of holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
This is Terry Van Horn, and I want to invite you to join me for my weekly radio show, Hailing Light, on OMTimes Radio every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On Hailing Light, we want to bring love, light, and blessings into your world. You can find out more about us at www.healinglightonline.com. Blessings.
Hello, I'm Miriam Knight of New Consciousness Review, inviting you to my new show where I interview the rising stars of the conscious awakening. We'll explore the many faces of consciousness and action and intriguing perspectives on life, the universe, and everything in between. Join us each Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern on the Rising Stars Show.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. Your conscious lifestyle on steroids. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
importance of water as a nurture and water as life. Because without it, there is no life. And people seem to appreciate things when it's gone. So let's not have it come to this point. And taking a moment to bless water, whether you ingest it or whatever you do with it, is important. You're important to the world, and every action you take is very important to our Mother Earth. So now I'm going to hand you over to Charlie again.
Well, yeah, and I'm going to go right into the blessing, and hopefully you have either glass of water. You can hold it, or in your hands, or you can. I sit it in your lap if it's in a bowl. I would like you to hold the water or put your hands on it if it's comfortable, and if not, just send your intention to the water as you go through this meditation. Which just came through me just before we went on the air. So hopefully it won't take more than 15 minutes. Okay, what I'd like you to do is everybody just take a deep breath, feeling the moisture in what you are inhaling, and inhale it deep into your abdomen. As you exhale, feel the water in your mouth. Know that this water and all water within your body come from the same source. One water, Mother Water. Breathe gently and feel the flow, which is the natural rhythm of water around the planet, on the planet, and within the planet. As you breathe, Mother Earth breathes as well. And in each breath, there is water. There is no separation, ever. Continue breathing in a slow and rhythmic manner, and visualize a large violet flame rising up from the center of Mother Earth and her primary waters, surrounding you in your stillness. And please accept this as her flame of transmutation. Visualize far above you a golden disk of light, the rays of which travel through the center of your body to the base of the violet flame which surrounds you. Then, beginning to surround the flame and rise to enclose you in its perfect light. Feel your heart expanding in gratitude. Feel the water in your body begin to cleanse and purify. Feel the water in the glass or bowl before you cleanse and purify. Feel the alchemical process of fusion in your heart and also in the water. And allow yourself to focus on the bowl of water or glass of water before you in oneness. You and the water are one. I will now invoke the Four Powers Protocol. Dihe moriora, I te ingua, te whaia, te tama, te matua, te wairua tapu. I will say that in English. In the name of the mother, receptive, the child, creative, the father, generative, the eternal memory, spirit, and the ksa is the long breath of life. And I will repeat that two more times. Ite ingua, te tama, te matua, te whaia, te wairua tapu. I te ingua, te matua, te whaia, te tama, te wairua tapu. Allow these words and vibrations to enter both you and the water in oneness. For you are one. You have always been one. You were born in your mother's womb in an ocean of water. And that ocean of water is the human emblem of the mother's primary water, the water in her womb, the womb of Mother Earth. I now ask you to merge with Mother Earth, with the water in your bowl or your glass, and the water within you. You are now fully embodied in water, and you are surrounded by the beautiful children of the water, by the ancestors of the water, by all life forms that are a part of the water family, not only of this planet we call Mother Gaia, but see and feel them approaching you on waves of aquamarine energy from distant galaxies, different planetary systems, all sharing their love of water. Allow them to guide you, to show you, to help you experience their appreciation, their gratefulness for recognizing that you have always been a part of their family. For without water, we do not exist anywhere. When you engage in blessing the waters, they will always respond.
I was getting lost there.
Well, I'm not finished yet, Elias.
Okay.
I just wanted to pause there, just to allow everybody to feel the energy of these amazing beings. Okay, so I want to go on, and I wanted to say to you, I ask now that you send your love to the water in front of you, your appreciation of the experience that you just had of feeling the oneness of the water within you and outside of you, the water on this planet and the water on all planets, the water in this universe with all universes. And I ask you to hold space open in your hearts for the water, and know that the water that you have before you now is mother water. You can add to it, and you can share it, and you can use it in blessings anywhere, everywhere, wherever you are so called to do. And now with this water, you can add water and keep generating more mother water. And you can add your own blessings to this water. You can create them yourselves You can invite them from other people. This is your sacred water. And the messages that are in that water will spread far and wide, sending the message of your love and your recognition of one of the most ancient sacred truths, that water is life. And clean, it will clean all water that embraces in its journey and return its memory to full health and potential, so that the damaged cycles may be healed, that the illness that is born be denied to the future generations, and that our future children will be welcomed into the water of their mothers and never feel a separation ever again. And now I ask you to just slowly place your hands over your eyes, and when you wish to return, to open your eyes into them, and then slowly re-enter into the space around you. And know that the water and the water beings love you and thank you. I'm complete.
You fooled me before that long pause. That was pretty good. We got a minute before break. But what I think even is important is, like you said, listening to you're creating the sacred mother water, which is a very sacred water. And I think for people who have maybe didn't quite get it, like we got these podcasts. You can listen to this all over again. So let's say you didn't have the glass of water in front of you, you didn't have it at this moment. You can go back and listen and create this. And these podcasts are repeated over and over. So this is not lost on you. And we'll be back.
Connecting you with the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Join me, Maggie Chula, on Mondays at noon Eastern for Mastermind with Maggie. Let's work together in a mastermind. We can resolve life's problems and create goals for the future. Build action steps empowering you to create your life in partnership with your divine source of light, your soul. Manifesting your goals can be simple and easy, so come with your problems and leave with a plan. The Akashic Master Teachers and I are waiting to help you.
Hi everyone, this is Shay Parker, the host of Best of the Best, which airs live right here on IOM Radio every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Pacific. I'm super excited to bring you expert guest hosts, spiritual discussions, free psychic readings, and so much more. I can promise that you will not want to miss this one-of-a-kind, fun, yet touching, down-to-earth show. Join us every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific on OTR-FM. This is Shay Parker, and I can't wait to see you there.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes.
I'm not sure. I mean, I really got lost in that. That was a definite meditation of the ancestors, coming through. And we use the word ancestors because sometimes it's hard to define what this energy is. It's just source, really. But that's what I said. I think I'm back. But
Well,
go ahead.
I just wanted to say that, this was created 10 minutes, 15 minutes before we came on the air. This not a planned thing. And this is what I, want to emphasize is that when people really shift their conscious awareness to things that are sacred and ancestral, your life will transform and you will get the messages that you need to get. So as I've done this, I encourage people to create their own water blessings. There's no one blessing that is better than another. What is best for you is what comes from your heart and resonates with your heart. Whether you copy it from somebody else or take pieces, and just make it a practice. Just make it a practice, and you don't have to do it in any set time or in any set way or for any set reason. Allow your spirit, your soul, to guide you, and have fun with it. Have fun with it. Have fun embracing the wholeness of life, and that's what we need to return to is having fun embracing the wholeness of life. And so I can't think of a better place to start than with the water, because as I said earlier, we're over 70% water. So we can only get better.
And the water actually consciousness, I mean,
it will respond.
It does respond, and I believe it's very strong in healing. And I think the whole thing, a way we're trying to say is don't take things for granted. You
Amen
see
to
things.
That. Yeah.
You see things on an environmental level. You see things in the weather. Parts of the world, too much water. Parts of the world, not enough water. We need total balance. Everybody in this whole world, the millions and billions of people, have a purpose. And I think when we become balanced and we become aware of our responsibilities on this planet, even taking actions of blessing and water and being grateful for it, I think you will, like Charlie says, you will see a change. This is not some kind of hokey dokey thing we're saying.
No, and for years people have been working with water with crystals and placing crystals in water to change, transmute the energy of the water. And people have been working with flower essences and herbs, etc. I mean, I just had recently some woman who makes a rose infusion for the water, which imparts the rose essence. So there are all kinds of things we can do, but should be done as acts of blessings. And again, bringing out the best of the water. What is the best water? And to try to clear the painful memory that the water holds, the memory of wars and the memory of disconnection and abuse and all of those things. And as I say, that's where the memories in our own lives are stored, is in the water. And it's a hard concept to try to wrap your mind around. But even if you just play with that and say, where is this? It's what's the greatest energy in motion me is water flowing through my body. Emotion. Energy and motion. I mean, there's nothing that water doesn't touch in your body. Every time you move a muscle, there's a trigger. That's what the electricity is flowing through. This is why, when the dowsers today, the evolutionary dowsers, the transformational dowsers, we look for geopathic stress. Well, there's water running somewhere, and it's creating, how it's running is creating disturbances that make people live in places that are ill, where illness or the inability to think straight. And so this is where it all begins, is when we start to recognize the power of what water does and creates, and when it's misused or misappropriated or mistreated or, just denied its existence. This is the chaos that it can create. And all of us have that power to return it back to its original blueprint by blessing.
Yeah, and being, like you said, blessing, and just another word for blessing is being grateful.
Grateful, right? Yeah, and looking at as part of our source of life. You may not want to go say, "Oh, it's the mother of life," and say it like I do, but I think each of us can recognize the importance, and that's all I ask, is that if people work with the water, they will it will teach you. It will teach you. Just as the earth workers will say, Mother Earth will teach you. Those who work with the trees, that the trees will teach you, because there is a collective consciousness.
And the thing is, if we accomplish one thing out of the show, is to make people aware. Because a lot of times in our busy lives, which we have created, whether good or bad, we don't think. Water, oh, well, it's always there. Yeah, but when you start looking at the whole picture, you realize, oh, gee, this is a little bit more important. Even our blood, the plasma, through which the cells, the red and white blood cells flow, which keep us alive.
If there's no water, it ain't not going to flow.
Right.
And so it changes. This is the interesting thing, is that once you start to play with how much we interact with water in our daily lives, it's phenomenal. It's just phenomenal, and it changes your perspective on a lot of issues. And you look at it and you say, well, I may not be able to do something about that, but I can go to my local pond and I can get some water. And, one thing is, you can get some water from a place, bring it home and bless it and work with it, and add some of if you make a, sort of a batch of what I call mother water. And, there's many ways to do that. What's comfortable for you, make it. Put your heart in it. Put your intention in it, and be it for healing, for the good of all, and then return it back to the source. And it will blend. It will carry that message to the rest of the water. And if enough of us do this, we'll reach a point of critical mass. And just like we're seeing now, the awakening of people and shifting of consciousness is because we have a collective, mass that's greater than certainly we did in the 60s. In the 60s, many of us practiced a lot of things, but we didn't have the mass consciousness to support it. And we had no elders and teachers. And so as Lyra and I look at our age level, and that's what we become. We become the elders. And it's not so much the teachers, but just to be there to encourage and support and allow you to have these thoughts, because what I'm saying is nothing new or nothing really phenomenal. It's been said for thousands of years. Yeah, it's the same story. It's just a different version of it.
Yeah, no, we're in a position, thankfully, of the internet that, we're not holed up in a little cave or, or isolated. Charlie and I are, and we said, we're not teachers. We're just somebody that are saying, hey, look at this. And, make up your own minds and choose to be responsible and choose to be aware. And this is how different things will affect your lives. So, we might be old fogies, but...
No, you'll have to speak for yourself. I'm getting younger every day.
No, well, I don't know. It depends on the day.
It depends on what day it is. Yeah, I know. But I think we can all relate to that. Yeah, it depends on what day it is.
No,
today happens to be a youthful day for me, so I'm full of piss and vinegar here.
Okay.
Both water subjects. There you go.
That's it. I'm going to be blessing my word and saying, okay, let's clear out the old folky idea. But no, I make light of things sometimes because I don't want Charlie. I don't think Charlie feels this. I think he feels this way either. We don't put ourselves so serious. Like,
No.
we kind of laugh at things too. So.
Exactly, and that's and the key is to have fun with the blessing. Have fun.
And just do it. I think that's the biggest thing. Don't think about it. Don't wonder about it. Do it.
Yeah, the other thing I was saying is, as I'm making, moon water, people set their water out in the moon, whether it's new moon or full moon. There's a perfect vehicle to take the moon water that's been charged by the moon and do that as a blessing and make that a water. So be creative. Be creative. Add your own flavor to it. Everybody doesn't want to drink the same iced tea. You know what I mean? This add your flavor. You are a co-creator of the universe. You are a divine being and a divine creator. That's your power. Stand in your power. Stand in your power with the water.
And like I said, take action.
Yeah.
That's what's important. And Charlie will be with us next week, too. You can't get rid of us.
There you go. All right.
All right. Have a good week, and we'll see you next week.
Peace, y'all.